And welcome back, everybody, to the Podcaster Nation. That's right. I said welcome back because I know you were just listening to our stuff and you loved it so much that you wanted to come back for more. That was a brilliant move because, folks, we have a lot more for you. Now, why do we have a lot more for you? Because this is the podcast that's about podcasters. It's for podcasters and it's done by podcasters. And our guest today, you guessed it, is a podcaster, amongst other things. So here we go. This is the place where we come together to raise each other up. And this is the place where the rising tide truly raises all ships. So let's get sailing and bring in our awesome guest today. Cannot wait to talk to this lady. We have some interesting stuff to cover today. The creator of Trust OS, and I think I might be pronouncing that wrong, but we'll see.
No, it's good. It's
Oh,
good.
I'm getting the okay. It's Trust OS. Also, the business growth warrior. She is the host of C2C Central, Raw and Real Coaching Business Confessions. And we're going to hear some other stories about her today, which are just fantastic. Please welcome to the show, Lidia Axe. Lydia, how are you doing today?
Hey, Rory. Hey, everybody. Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm super pumped to have yet another conversation about what I do and how I can help folks.
I absolutely love that. So you have we have a lot we can dive into here, but before we get rolling, go ahead and tell everybody just a little bit about who is Lydia Axe. Where do you come from? What got you into all this stuff in the first place?
Right. And that's a very long story, but I'll start from the end because that's what I teach my clients actually. Start with the end in mind. So what I do today, and I'm yet to find a good name for this, but for now it's Business Growth Warrior because what I do, I provide three in one. I do business coaching because I'm a coach since 2017. And then I provide business advice. So I'm a consultant because I know so much. I have a business background. I've been a finance professional for 15 years of my first career, my corporate career. I got a business executive MBA from London Business School, one of the best in Europe. And I've been building businesses for the last 10 years. And then third, I'm a mentor because I've done it, right? So what I do this three in one coaching, consulting, and mentoring. And I think that gives a very unique combination. I'm looking at the word holistic because I think, folks need to go learn this. They need to get advice from this. They need to get coaching from this and find a mentor. And it creates a lot of hassle, a lot of distraction. Well, what I try to provide when folks come to me, and mainly it's coaches. So I mainly help coaches, although I do have some other solopreneurs helping professionals, folks who help people with something. Um, I try to do the holistic approach and help them in this three dimension. So that's
Wow.
me.
I love it. I love it. So you started telling us a little bit about going to London for school and that you'd been in finance for a while. What got you into all of this, coaching for coaches and podcasting and media and everything else that you're doing right now?
Right, right. So the first 10 to 13 years of my career, I was going the path that was laid out, by society. For me, I was a good girl. I was the A student, golden medal, the distinction type of diploma, overachiever. So I got a university, got into finance. At that time, that was kind of the top, and got into PwC. That was kind of very exciting. And I'm Russian. Just to give the background, I'm Russian. So I was born and raised in Russia, in Moscow, and lived there for the first 40 years of my life. So I got into finance. PwC was like the top of the top, like the dream. And then I got my family again, checking all those social responsibility or social, I don't know how you call it, kind of the contract, uh,
Uh-huh.
uh, doing my duties, I
Right, for
guess.
sure.
So I got the family, I got three kids at that time. I have four for now. And then, I became a director in PwC doing all this. So I got it all. And then I hit the ceiling. And the ceiling was not my career ceiling because I was on a track to become a partner in PwC, like the ultimate, the
Ah,
ultimate
goodness.
goal of everyone. But I didn't want it. Like it didn't feel natural. I think I hit midlife crisis early. Like I was 35, and I just okay. I've done this. I fulfilled all the boxes, but yet I didn't feel like it's what I want. I think I was going through someone else's program. So
Mm,
what do you do? And I've been in PwC for 13 years by then. So I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? So I went to executive MBA in London Business School. I was executive MBA, so I was flying every other week. I was flying for Friday and Saturday to London with three young kids, family, and full-time job. Like
wow.
everybody in my class thought I'm a superhuman. I was not a normal human. The amount of women in the class, I think we had 12 out of 77, something like that. So for a
Wow.
woman together is was still kind of a challenge. Now having young kids, full-time job, and flying every other week from Moscow to London. And I normally would take the red eye back because from Saturday to Sunday, so I can spend Sunday with the family. So I wouldn't lose the whole weekend. Like everybody in my class thought I'm a superhuman and I had a perfect husband who would support me and take care of the kids while I was there. Anyway, fast forward, the MBA, executive MBA, I got a entrepreneurship bug bite, like a Spider-Man bite,
Right.
something like that. I was like, oh my God, there is the whole world where you can actually go outside corporation and build something on your own. And I'm like, I was bitten. So I left PwC shortly after. I tried to work in a corporate in the industry world because I thought, but it just didn't work for me. It was very high profile job, lots of money. But again, that was not what I was after. I was after the meaning, the midlife crisis. And I wrote a book on midlife crisis. So uh, 2019. But so I left shortly after. And since 2014 or 15, 10 years ago, pretty much, I'm like, I want to build something and I want to see. So I was after seeing the direct impact of what I do every day on the world. And when I was in the corporation, that was highly traceable. So, and that's how I got to leave the corporate world. I started a business with brick and mortar. In business school, they teach you like, what sort of business do you start? And they ask you, what do you know a lot about? I'm like, well, I have three kids, so the only thing outside finance and work I know a lot about is how to raise kids. So I started the kids club, the small brick and mortar, and then 3 years later I'm like, I love kids, but I love my kids, not other people's kids. And I don't like taking care of them, and it's a lot of headache. And I actually love like the whole concept of my club with the partner. It was with the partner was that not just kids would have something to do, but actually their moms. Because I was like so upset when in other places kids would, moms would bring kids to the sport classes or the art classes, and they would sit in the corridor or on the chairs, and they would be in their phones or like reading a book, looking sleepy. I'm like, well, we should create something where while kids are doing something, moms are also doing something like self-development. I got into self-development at that stage. It was kind of on the rise, the self,
Sure.
self-development kind of whole thing. So, and I'm like, I actually really love working with moms versus kids. I have enough at home, and I've never been like a ch chicken mom or like whatever you call it. So, and that's where I'm like, well, I started doing stuff. I started doing challenges, like let's lose some weight for the summer. I don't know, it sounds ridiculous today, but it was something new, and I was really excited. I understood that I'm someone that when I speak, people find it inspirational. People find it motivating, and I saw some real change. So I did pretty much nothing. I did something really fun and what I enjoyed, and it actually impacted people's life. So that was exciting. And I'm like, well, I need to, obviously, as someone who's like, in my accounting or finance world, I got the ACC, the accounting professional, the MBA, like I got all the degrees. So I went into coaching. I got my coaching certification 2017. And since then, and I've been changing niches, I've been changing focus, but I never left this arena of motivating people, inspiring people, sharing my stories. And again, that's why I like this combination. I think I could never be like a pure coach where you're like invisible, transparent space, which I think is not bad. It's just not for everybody. I have my very strong opinions. I have my stories, and I have my um, point of view, and I share that openly. And I find it still to this day very inspiring, and that's what I want to do.
That's an amazing story. I love that you started with kids too. It's like you started with something you knew and you started growing it. I mean, that's a great entrepreneur story. It really is. Congratulations on going through all of that. That had to be difficult to, I mean, have been raised in, your society, and you reach the pinnacle. You're on your way. You're one step away from the pinnacle, actually. I mean, and then you just say, nah. How'd that go for you? How'd your husband handle that?
Yeah,
What was that like having that sort of a culture shift?
right, right. And that comes back to the question you asked me, like, what is your name? Because, you used to be Lidia Chmel, now you're Lidia Axe. I think it's kind of it's the right time to talk about this topic. So, my husband's surname Chmel, and I took it 24 years ago. And he warned me it's going to be difficult, but I'm like, no, I want to be the same name. But um, yeah, I think this is the superpower I was born with, right? And I think each of us is born, I believe, each person is born with a certain superpower. It's just recognizing it and leaning into it, not looking for every single weakness we have or every single flaw we have, but actually find, what is our strengths, what is our superpower, and lean into. My superpower, I never like I don't want to say I'm fearless. Actually, I'm very anxious and fearful person, but what I don't what I'm not afraid is break the rules, the societal rules or the rules or whatever rules, or start a podcast. This is the one that I'm doing now is the third podcast I think I'm starting. So I'm not afraid to start things, to like I have the idea and I go into implementation so quickly. I think it's a superpower. Now there are obviously the cons to that, but like that was not difficult. Maybe it was difficult people around me, but I'm super lucky that my husband just accepts Pretty much. If he sees that this is something that's going to make me happy, he's fully supportive. And that's why he was fully supportive when I decided to go to this London executive MBA school. He's like, sure, I'll take care of the kids. And then when I said I'm leaving corporate, he said, if this is what you want, if this is going to make you happy, I'm going to support. Like, I think I'm lucky. Like, my husband is probably the first and so far the only person who accepts me unconditionally. And I learn from him to do the same to my kids because I think that's important to have someone in your life that whatever your decision is you believe this is best for you, they say, perfect. I'm standing by you 100%. So, I want to tell you it was difficult, but it wasn't because, again, this is my superpower, and I had someone by my side who said, "Sure, go ahead. I'll be there to support you."
That's amazing. And it just it points out incredibly how incredibly important that really is. Having that kind of support structure. Good for you. Good for him. Good for all of you. I love the story. I just think it's
We're
fantastic.
still together.
That's
25 years later, we're still together.
nice. Congratulations on that too. And three kids?
Four.
Four kids?
Yes.
Congratulations on all of that. In today's world, those are gigantic accomplishments. They really,
Mm.
really are. So, and especially with everything else you've accomplished and done. So, wow. You are kind of superwoman, aren't you?
Yeah, although I keep reminding, especially lately, we've been, and I told you I'm Russian, but 2017, when I started going into the coaching heavily, we decided to leave Russia. It was obvious Russia was going to the wrong trajectory.
Hmm.
We didn't agree with anything that's been going on since 2014. So, we didn't want our kids to raise there. We didn't want them to go to war. We didn't know there would be war, but it was kind of obvious that it's not going right direction. So we left Russia. We
Hmm.
immigrated to Portugal. It's a
Okay.
nice place, beautiful place, but immigration it ain't for faint-hearted, or how do you say it? It's not easy, Johnny. So we immigrated to Portugal, stayed there 5 years. Um, got COVID. The move wasn't easy for two of our youngest kids in terms of the stress and the mental health. And then 2022, the Russia-Ukrainian war started. So our visa got frozen.
Oh,
And
wow.
then my business, my coaching business was totally Russian based, still from Portugal. So I had to close it. And then my husband was still working for Russian companies at the board of directors level. He quit from all of them. So no visa, no money. We're like, okay, what do? We immigrated to Israel, where we are today. But when we immigrated summer 22, it took us a while, settle down, get through the first year of immigration. 2023, 7th of October, the war started.
Yeah.
So from one war, not the real war, into the real war, and we're still there. So
I,
there've been a lot, a lot.
wow. I mean, when you started the story, I wanted to go, but wait, you're in Israel, you told me. And oh my goodness. So I mean, wow. Externally, you've been through all that too, going literally from war to frozen visa and COVID to another war.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, are you still working with Russian clients? Have you picked up Israel clients? Are you
No.
working internationally? How's that working with your business and all of the, you know,
Right. Right,
political,
right.
geographic stuff going
No,
on?
2022, I completely shut down my Russian business. And again, might be wrong, might be right, I don't know. I don't think there is the right answer, but I felt like I couldn't, like emotionally, mentally, I couldn't bear because I would express, as I always do, I express what I feel, what I think about what's going on very honestly, and I got a lot of hate and pushback, and
Yeah.
and then I was not able to sustain it. I was not I needed time to understand what's going on. So I completely shut down my Russian business. So then we moved, then, spent next year kind of just settling down, honestly, and making sure the kids, all in the right places, and just settling down in a new country. Oh my God. So I've done it twice now. It takes at least a year, at least a year. And then I was like, okay, what do I want to do? And obviously I didn't want to go back. I think there is no coming back. Like, there is a saying that you cannot get twice in the same river, right?
Okay.
I don't know. In Russia, there is a saying or a quote, you cannot get twice to the same river, right? The river is gone. So I'm like, okay, well, I needed some courage, right? Um, but I think I've got it. My business education from English speaking institution, one of the best in Europe. My coaching degree I got from Ericsson International in Canada. I did it online.
Wow.
And now I know it will sound sassy, but I took in 2017 while still in Russia, and I took the night course. So in Russia, it was from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. 3 times a week for 6 months. Because I thought, well, then during the day, I can take care of my family, build my business. That was the worst decision in my life. It was. I thought I was superhuman. No, twice I fell asleep during this, and these are live sessions. It's not like you listen. No, you have to participate. It's a coaching conversation, coaching practice. Small groups. So 2 times I fell asleep. They're like, Lydia, from 2 to 5. And it completely ruined my sleep. So I will never do it again. Please don't do this, right? Don't think you're a superhuman.
Oh
You're
my
not. But
goodness.
anyway, so I got coaching education, business education, and just in general, I've been working with English speaking people, watching movies. So I'm like, okay, I need to take this move, although it was scary. It was, but I say, okay, now my practice, I restarted my coaching practice from the ground up, although it's not, when you think you're starting from zero, you're not, because my skills, my experience, a lot of that obviously I took with me. But yeah, so my audience is English speakers around the world, anybody. I do have some Russian speaking clients, from the past, but that's okay. Yeah, I just restarted. I just rebooted, like flip the switch, right? Like turn off, turn on, start from the scratch.
Wow.
And it's fun
Clearly, you're
also.
having fun. I mean, anybody can tell you're having a great time doing this. How many languages do you speak?
Well, I speak just Russian and English.
Okay.
Uh, I do speak a little bit Portuguese, but again, thanks to COVID, we started learning Portuguese, but then it was like, okay, we're sitting at home, we're speaking to each other. What's the point? You do need to practice language when you learn it. So Portuguese, just a little bit, and then a little bit of Spanish. Hebrew, no, please. Um, I can say hello and Shabbat Shalom, but that's pretty much it.
Wow. So are folks in Israel primarily speaking English then, or are you really just out in the
Uh,
cold with where you live?
well, there are a lot of Russian speakers here, believe it
Oh,
or
really?
not. I think 20% of population are Russian speakers here. Hello,
Wow. So
yes.
you've got a little home cooking there.
I
Okay.
have a lot of friends who left Russia because of the war, the Russian-Ukrainian war. A lot of my friends, I have a lot of friends here versus Portugal. It's a funny world we live today. And then a lot of people speak English, of course. If you talk people certain level, they speak English. And then I do know some phrases, and I go to my butcher, I go to my, hairdresser. I go and I can manage in
Yeah.
Hebrew, English, Russian combination, or the Google Translate. Look, I learned. Does it make your life more difficult? Yes, it does. And I am thinking of moving on, honestly. Like Israel was never the place where I wanted to be. And, again, I'm eternally grateful to Israel because, when our visa was frozen in Portugal, the only choice we had is go back to Russia. And I had boys who were at that time 19, 21, and
Oh,
23, they would go to the war right away on the
yep.
border. So that was not even a choice, or go to Israel because I have Jewish roots. So I'm eternally grateful to Israel. However, I do want to move, another move, yes. And I do want to move to English speaking country. But yeah, that's a whole different story.
Oh my goodness. Wow. I mean, when I ask people to come on and tell their stories, you never know what you're going to get. But yours, holy cow. Like, wow.
Uh,
Okay. Well, I mean, clearly you're accustomed to change and you're willing to do whatever you have to do for you and your family. That's incredible. Really. The entire story just is really incredible. And I can see how you are successful at coaching and mentoring and consulting. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people you can help with everything you've learned, just living life for crying out loud. So that's
yeah,
amazing. Whew. All right. Well, let me change gears for a minute because
let's do
there's
it.
there's no good way to segue to this. So I'm just gonna we'll stop. Awesome story. Let's move forward.
Yeah. Breathe in,
Yeah,
breathe out.
there we
It
go.
always helps.
I love that. See, you're coaching me now. All right. Get into the story. Here we go. You created something called Trust OS, and it's T period R period and so on for the Trust OS.
Yeah.
I'm dying to know what this is and what it's about. So tell us all about it and where it came from.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. So with all those changes, all those pivots I did in life, when I started my business, I looked back and I asked myself, like, what actually helped me to restart? And I restarted my business so many times. And then what came as a response is your network, your connection. So trust, TRUST, is the tap into your relationship to get sales today, right? It's a bit cheesy, but basically, why is trust? Because what you do is you borrow trust. So you tap into your network, people you know and who know you, to connect you to the right person, the person who can give you clients. That's what I do, my business. But basically, it's anything. That's what I use to do anything, to get a job, to find a doctor, anything. You borrow trust from them. So the person you're connecting to next, the lead in the business term, they're going to trust you, right? You borrow trust that your network have for you
Mhm.
to connect with them, not as a cold contact or someone who doesn't know you. You have some this borrowed trust because people who buy from you are people who know, like, and trust you. There is a know, like, and trust factor, right? And if you can bring it up, you win. And all other methods are way longer. That's why I like this method. Because when you need something fast, summer 2023, coming back to my story, okay, I immigrated summer 22, a year to settle and living on our savings, honestly. And then we came to zero on our bank account. So we needed get a job, get a contract, get a project fast.
Mhm.
What did I do? I used my trust method. I didn't know at that point it was trust method, but that's what I did. I started going, and it's not. kind of something that I invented. Someone taught me that. I just enhance it. I just used it and just enhance and created more kind of step by step how you do it, how the best do it. I just share my spin on it. But is the phone book now it's in here, but in old days where we lived, you and me,
Oh yeah.
we had the phone book, right? Did you have the phone
Oh,
book?
of course we did. You
There
know
you
it.
go. So it's called the phone book, right? You just go from A to Z, and honestly, this is the easiest. And just contact everybody in your network, connecting with them as a real human. That's why I call it real human connection. I don't use AI for automated messages, scripted messages. No, you send them a message as a real human. Hey Rory, and I check your socials before I do that. What's going on in your life recently? Maybe you changed jobs, maybe you moved countries, maybe your kids graduated, maybe you just had a birthday. Any real reason, I say, hey, happy birthday, Rory, or happy belated birthday. So um,
Yeah.
something personal. Um, just connect. Hey, it's been a while since we talked. Fancy a Zoom coffee, a virtual coffee conversation. That's what I do. Very
Nice.
easy. And then during conversation, you tell me what's going on in your life. I tell you what's going on in my life. And I tell, look, I'm actually looking for, and then you tell other clients, if this is what I teach. What I did in 23, I'm like, I really need cash tomorrow. So if you know someone who's looking for any help project job, and I found a job. I found a job September 23. I started working. First, it was a project, and then, yeah, I got a job because I know that building a business, rebuilding a business, or building a business takes time. And
Hmm.
that's what I'm doing, but I needed cash. So I was looking for both. I was open to any, and you can make the request very broad, or you can make the request very narrow. If you're a coach looking for client, then you can make it very narrow. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm using my own method. I think, someone who teaches something need to take their own medicine. Otherwise, it's not, it's not, you shouldn't do this, right? So I'm doing this right now. Right now, what I do, I help coaches. I help professionals, so people who are still at the corporate job but want to build a coaching business, full-time coaching business, make this transition, build a coaching business so that they can leave the corporate. So the request is very narrow, and I know from the, I don't know, 100, 200, 300 people I contact, I might get 3 leads or 5 leads, but that's okay. That's the process. And I know it's still the fastest and the most efficient versus, posting content into the void, you know, or or other things. I think it's still because you borrowed trust. The people who are gonna come to you, this is kind of the key to my method. They have way higher the know, like, and trust me factor because they've been recommended by someone who knows me
Yeah.
and say, it's okay. Zoom decided Zoom decided to join our conversation. Um, yeah, it's been working for me. It's been working for some other coaches I've been working for. So that's the Trust OS method, uh, powered by real human connection, but using automations because I'm a big productivity nerd, and I try to automate and optimize the heck out of anything I do because a one person business, I don't think you can get away from this, or
Sure.
either you hire other people help you, or you need to optimize, automate the follow-up. Because when you do a lot of this, the connections, the calls, the reach out, you need a really good system for tracking that and following up. Because the money, the clients, is in the follow-up,
Yeah.
right? I mean, this is the simple sales truth, right? The
Yeah.
money is in the follow-up.
Yeah. For sure. It's funny because sometimes the simple truths are the ones that people need to hear. Because everybody's always going after the next shiny object. They're always going after the next new thing. Oh, buy this and it'll make your life so easy. And it's just a way to sell whatever that is.
Yeah.
So, what you're talking about is real, live, actionable steps to actually get clients, to actually make a little money and then compound that and keep moving forward. So it sounds like great advice. It sounds like a very, very solid system.
Yeah.
I
I
like it.
mean, it did help me many times and in many capacities. So it's pretty universal. Again, whatever you're looking for. And then yeah, people who used it, I never saw it fail. It only fails if you don't put consistent effort over time. But
Nice.
I think it's the same. Like, tell me if the content game is different.
I,
Content game is the
yeah.
same. You
No,
need to create
exactly
a
the same.
lot of content for the long period of time.
Absolutely.
I don't think there are any game where you can win with like uh throwing one post and going viral. If you believe that, you live in a fairy tale world.
Hardcore. All right. If you believe that, you're living in a fairy tale. I love it. No, I think that's fantastic. So, all right, the podcast then. All right. In the interest of time, I better get to the podcast at some point. I'm
Let's do
so
that.
enthralled with your story. I'm like, wow. But you're the host of C2C Central, Raw and Real Coaching Business Confessions. Now, that sounds like, some kind of, novel that people should be reading with a glass of wine or something, but because that's just like really intriguing. So
Mm,
tell me about the podcast, where that came from and how that interacts with your business.
right, right. Okay, and I told you it's the third podcast. I hope the three
Sure.
is a charm. And again, I have the superpower. I'm easy to start things, but it's hard for me to follow through. I'm good inspirational speaker and the leader. When I was the leader, it was easy for me because you tell people what to do and they go and do it. That's amazing. Now, as a one-person business, and when you start the podcast, you not only need to find the guest, invite the guest, um, record the interview. That's the easy part. But then you need to edit, the post, the promote. Like the second part is like 80%, right? Tell me if I'm wrong.
No, you're
The
right.
first part is 20%, the winning game. So I had two more podcasts. Okay, the first podcast was Lydia, Where's the Money? That was the name of the podcast.
All right.
And we have the quote, we had the saying. It was kind of business. It was a business podcast. And I think I recorded 10 interviews, but I think I published two episodes. That's it. I couldn't get
Oh,
past.
wow. Okay.
Being very open here. It's Business Confessions is the name of my podcast. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to be open here. It was tough. I didn't know how to get. Like I didn't have the process or the motivation. I don't know. That just didn't go. My second podcast I started where I was looking for my niche, like in a new business, which was very recent, and I was very kind of focus on values because I believe in values. I'm a certified values coach and I believe values drive our behavior. So it doesn't matter life coach and business coach. You need to understand your values just to understand the self-awareness. and the business values. So I'm big on values. But so I started podcast. What was it? Values detective or something like that. So I was looking at the famous person, and I started with Taylor Swift because I love Taylor Swift, and I tried to, as a values detective, identify what her values are and how they contribute to her success. How leaning into your
Wow.
values contribute to her success. I think it's a great idea. Maybe I'll pick it up one day. Anyway, that didn't go well because it was not an interview, and I shine an interview, either being interviewed or interviewing other people. I shine an interaction. Now that was the solo podcast, and
Hmm.
that was just like pulling the teeth. Like, oh my God, the recording, and then the whole editing, the whole stuff. Anyway, one episode, Taylor Swift. That's it.
All
It's
right.
on pause. It's on pause now. All right. Now the second podcast. Now I think the success. I'm in episode. Oh, I cannot tell you what episode, but I'm going way, way more than the first two. And I'm recording episode. The one should go maybe tomorrow or Saturday. So it's going way more. First, it's in line with my whole business strategy. So it's part of the strategy. Okay. So I
Hmm.
understand how it contributes to overall growing my business, right? This is I think one of the reasons. Second, I think podcast and I think I finally realized that podcast is one of the best ways for coaches to shine, to show yourself, because everybody is so hung up on this short form content. Social media is mainly short form
Sure.
content, right? But
Yeah.
it's really hard to shine through that, to share your perspective, to show your personality, to share your stories. Are you more humorous? Are you more edgy? Are you more sassy? I mean, they're, and as a coach, I just finally realized, and that's why I'm leaning into the podcast, that it's the way for a coach to really show and shine. And yes, you need to accept that there will be less people listening versus uh, views on your reel, that you may get a few thousand. On the podcast, you may get a few hundred if you like it, or a few dozens, but that's okay. That's okay. Those are the people who will listen or watch, because I record video podcast. Again, I believe these days we need to go video. I mean, I don't know if your podcast is video or not, Rory, and I'm sorry if I'm,
It's
I'm
okay.
stepping on your toes, but
Not
I
at all.
think okay, I just believe these days you do need video. And again, it might not be the whole podcast, might be short, but it's a way to shine for a coach and establish a connection.
Love that. Okay.
Establish a connection. So C2C, I don't think you mentioned it. C2C is coach to coach. So I understand it's coach to coach central. And I started this as a let's have honest conversations from coach to coach. And I tried to attract guests who are more established coaches, where they can share the truth about coaching business. Cause like the whole, oh my God, the whole manifesto, the whole philosophy behind my business, there are so many um, wrong, fluff, myth around coaching business. People see this as a shiny, profession. They see this as a the something that is kind of so easy. Once you become a coach, you quickly become whatever, six figure, seven figure. Now the truth is, the brutal truth is that rarely coaches are making. good money. Even if we believe ICF reports that are probably not true, but even if we believe them, they say the average revenue of the coach is around $42,000. And that's very average for the whole world. Now, if you go by country, it's even worse. But even 42,000 average people focus on the world average. And I'm a finance person. If you know a little bit of math, you understand that there are a lot of coaches who are making less than that, right?
Right.
And also the stats that I've seen, I don't have good statistics, and I've been asking around. People say nobody's collecting this data, but basically 80% of coaches give up by end of year three,
I believe
right?
that. Yeah, I believe that for sure.
And only 0.2% of coaches are making six figures or more. And this is the shiny promise. 0.2%. Okay. So I'm on a mission with the podcast as the kind of the front, as the Titanic, or
Yeah.
or the, is a kind of the front end where people can listen for free anytime. Um, and then my products and my newsletter, my products and my coaching services to change that. I want to move the 0.2%, at least to, I don't know, 1% if I can do that. And then the average if I can move it up. So that's the mission, this is the why. And I think that's what maybe being clear of why I'm doing it. First, it fits my business model.
Sure.
Secondly, I have a mission, I have a why, um, to make this world better the way I can.
Love that. Love that. And it's funny because there's not that many people out there who are just trying to help coaches. So everybody's trying to sell coaches something all the time, of course, because that's how the world works. But there's nothing out there that helps them. When you talk about raw and real coaching business confessions, is this coaches coming on and talking about, mistakes they've made and lessons they've learned, so to speak?
I try to get them to talk about. It's not easy because there is this like, oh, if
Right.
and I try to avoid this. I actually, I think my last newsletter, I have the Thrive and Coach Sunday newsletter. I send every Sunday, and I think one of my last newsletters is about the red flags. If you see someone like trying to sell something to coaches, what are the red flags? And one of the red flags on that newsletter, I think I have five, is the perfect hero story, which is I was broke and living on my parents' couch. And now I'm making seven figures. I try to avoid those conversation on my podcast because
Yeah.
there is, I mean, yeah, it's possible, but there is the huge messy middle. And that's what I want to talk about, the messy middle. How long did it take? What did you have to go through? What were some of the wins, but also some of the losses, some of the mistakes? Um, and I do my best. I'm not saying I'm doing it perfectly because there is no perfect in this world. But
Right.
that's what I'm trying to get. The people getting real how long it takes, and it takes way longer than you think.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
whatever you think is going to take way longer, and it's going to be way more difficult than you think, with more ups and downs and the valleys of desperation and the messy middle where you will want to quit so many times you cannot count. Like, ask me how many times I wanted to quit and go back to corporate and have a stellar seven-figure salary as a CFO. Many times.
I'm
I
sure
cannot
many
count.
times, right?
Times.
Yeah. And you've got quite the fallback. I mean, you can fall back to that. There's a lot of folks out there who don't have that, but it's still, yeah, tempting, I would imagine.
don't know. I think I could. I never tried. Even the thought, like I played it in my head, that scenario,
Yeah.
and I never. It's still, even with the money, even if I got accepted, even with the money, even with that, I'm like, am I gonna regret that decision? And I think the answer was always yes.
Gotcha.
Am I regretting not going there today? No. The
Oh,
answer is no.
good
Because I
for you.
think the 80, the deathbed, deathbed, or the 80th anniversary exercise, they taught us this exercise in our MBA, actually, thanks to them. So basically the exercise, like, imagine yourself either at the deathbed or at the 80th anniversary. What are you regretting? Like, what are you proud of? What are you regretting you haven't done, you haven't tried? So for me, it was always, I haven't tried hard enough. I haven't tried this way or that way. And I chose, for me, going back to corporate, it was always choosing the easy route. And I'm like, no. And again, this is the answer for me. I'm not saying that's the answer for everybody.
Right.
But I'm using that test I used. I don't think I have it now, but I used that test because I think I found the formula. Again, I have the job. Like, let me be honest. While I'm building my business, I have the job that pays my bill because I know it will take some time for business to take off, and I still have kids and family and house and bills to pay. So I found the formula that works for me without doubting myself, like, should I go back? So yeah.
Wow. All right. I love that you're doing that with your podcast. I really do. I think that's unique. Getting coaches to come on and talk about, things that they've messed up on and lessons they've learned is that's quite the endeavor. So that's incredible, and I'm sure it'll be very helpful to a lot of other coaches who hear that.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I can see how that fits in with your business model, especially, which I think is great. One of the questions that I always ask folks, it's kind of my corny question. So, yeah, let me get that in there. But when it comes to doing your podcast, what is it about doing your podcast that you love the most? And what is it about doing your podcast that you just absolutely hate the most? And I think I know the answer to the second part.
Exactly. I think I said it, the
Yeah.
whole editing kind of production. I think this will be the first thing I'm going to outsource once I kind of get to a certain level.
Yeah.
And I've done it with my other businesses. You need to stay in the zone of genius, and you need to stay with things you found most energizing and give you fun. um, you know, so as soon as you have just a little capacity, just outsource the things that you absolutely hate. So
Mhm.
for me, yeah, editing, yeah, the whole production. I don't know how you call that, right?
Gotcha. Yep.
So
I knew that was going to be it. So all right, that's what you hate.
the first is, yeah, just the process of the interview, learning about. I think that's what makes me a good coach. I don't know, it sounds sassy, but I love learning about another human being, the path, how they got there, like the interview itself. I ask questions that interest me. I don't have the agenda in mind. I just follow my curiosity, and I'm just so curious, and the whole exploration. I think, each person is the universe, is the like, and and every person is unique. You know what I tried, so once I published my book, 2019, and it was such a painful process, but it's most exciting process, writing. I love writing, and writing a book, I mean, oh my God. I would love to write another book. That's definitely on my agenda for next year. But after I finished it, I was like, I need to get into writing. And what I started to do, and I wrote three short stories. And they were about, again, the book was about female midlife crisis.
Mhm.
It was partly my story going through the crisis, my stories. and partly a lot of research of what it is and why it happens and how to get out of it. So it had it all. I think it was a good book. I'm still proud of it. But then I wrote three short stories about three women because for my book, I interviewed 50 women to hear their stories, just to confirm that what I'm experiencing is not unique. It's actually very similar to what other women are going through. And then I picked up three stories and wrote short. It's kind of romance detective stories. I don't know. It's a new genre. It's a new genre. But anyway, I think it goes back. I'm fascinated by people's stories. I'm fascinated to learn about it. I'm fascinated to write about it. And it goes back to my love for movies. We talked about it a little bit
Right.
before I hit record. So I don't know. Like when people ask me, like, what do you do? It's a famous coaching question. What would you do if you have all the money in the world and you
Right.
don't have to work? I would probably write stories, fiction stories, and maybe even scripts for movies. I don't know.
That's awesome. Well, maybe that's the next step for you, right? More
Maybe,
books, more stories. That's fantastic. All
maybe.
right. Let me at this point, since we're talking about it, where can everybody find your stories, your book, your podcast, info on you, website, contact info? Give everybody that real quick, and then we'll finish up.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, a lot of people ask me for the book. The book is only in Russian so far. And when people tell me just use AI to translate it in English, I said it's like giving your baby uh, to someone else. So if ever be an English version, I will write it. I will not translate it. I will write the English version of my
Okay.
book. And maybe that's perfectionist speaking, but anyway, it's just in Russian. So I'm on LinkedIn pretty much most of the days. So Lidia Axe is on LinkedIn is the best place to read my stories. I try to post every day, and you come and hang out, send me DM. I'm very accessible and approachable so far. Before I become very famous and inapproachable and inaccessible. Getitdonecoaching.com is my website. Get there. Get my Thriving Coach Sunday newsletter is totally free. And subscribe to C2C podcast. It's already there, also there. So getitdonecoaching.com and Lydia Axe on LinkedIn. I think these are two best places.
Nice. All right. Well, I love that. I love everything you're doing. As we, kind of wrap things up, I usually like to end with this last question, and that is, what is your best piece of advice for podcasters who are not quite where you are in your podcasting
Hmm.
journey yet?
Right. Yeah, and I don't know am I that far advanced with my podcast, but it's going better than my first two. And I
Yep.
think the reason is just what I said, is because I actually very clear how it fits first my business, but also my why. And I have the two, but you need to have at least one good reason to continue. Because with podcast, as with any other project endeavor, you're gonna hit you're gonna hit the process that you absolutely hate. You're gonna hit a lot of obstacles, technical, psychological, procrastination. So to get through those, you need to have a really good reason to continue. And I found that's what helped me to move forward better than before is either a clear understanding is going to help my business and it's a really good way to move me forward and I really want my business to succeed. Or like this is a passion of mine that no matter how many listeners, no matter how if I gonna monetize it ever, like no matter what is results, I believe in the purpose of this so much so that I'm gonna just keep doing this. So this is my advice.
Nice. That's wonderful advice. I love it. Absolutely love it. I love your attitude. I really do. I mean, you mentioned sassy a couple of times. You are sassy, you are feisty, you are ready to just go out and tear it up. And I love that. I appreciate you just being so open and honest today about your journey and everything that you've had to overcome and decisions you've made. It's been a fantastic interview, and thank you so much for coming on and sharing all that. It's really been great having you here today.
Thank you, Rory. I'm glad. I'm glad if I can be of service. I'm glad if I can be inspiring even one person listening to this, moving on with the podcast or anything else in their life. This is my fuel. This is my fuel for moving on despite all the trash that's going on in my life.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm sure that you have today. I know somebody got something out of this. I know I did. So it's been a lot of
Cool.
fun. So again, thank you for being on. It's been great. Folks, all right, this has been another fantastic episode of the Podcaster Nation. And the reason we have these incredible people come on here as podcasters is because this is the podcast that is about podcasters. It's for podcasters and it's done by podcasters. Folks, as we showed again today, this is the place where the rising tide truly raises all ships. So keep sailing.